You ever have one of those nights where everything feels like it's about to fall apart? That was me, white-knuckling the steering wheel of my busted-up old pickup as it wheezed down a lonely stretch of highway. My thoughts were a mess. Overdue rent, my boss talking layoffs like it was a hobby, and me trying to somehow keep my little sister enrolled in school. Life wasn't just tough, it was brutal, and I was barely holding on. Then, out of nowhere, I heard the scream cut through the night. Not just any scream, it was sharp, desperate. A second later, my headlights caught a woman bolting down the shoulder of the road, her face pale and panicked. She was holding her side like she was hurt, glancing back like someone was right on her heels. Before I could even think twice, I slammed the brakes, tires screeching as I jumped out of the truck. "Hey, are you all right?" I yelled, running toward her. She gasped for air, her voice shaking. "Please help me. They're coming." Her clothes were a mess, her cheeks streaked with tears. I didn't ask who they were, because that's when I heard it. An engine roaring behind us, growing louder fast. I looked up and saw headlights in the distance, getting closer by the second. "Get in," I shouted, yanking the passenger door open. She hesitated just for a second, then dove in. I barely got the door shut before a black SUV came flying into view, its high beams blinding. I floored it. The truck jerked forward, and we took off. "Who the hell are they? What's going on?" I asked, glancing at her while the SUV kept gaining on us. Her hands were shaking as she gripped the seat. "They tried to kidnap me. I got away, but they won't stop." Her voice made the hairs on my neck stand up. This wasn't random. This was real and dangerous. I swerved onto a side road, nothing but dirt and trees on either side. "Hold on," I shouted as the truck bounced and rattled like it might fall apart. The SUV didn't miss a beat. It was still behind us. "Do you know them?" I asked, trying to make sense of it all. She hesitated, her lips trembling. "I think so," she said quietly. "But I never thought it would come to this." "Why are they after you?" I asked, trying to keep my focus on the road. She took a shaky breath, eyes brimming with tears. "Because I found out something I wasn't supposed to. If they catch me, I'm dead." Her words hit me like a punch. Whatever she'd stumbled into, it was huge. And now, just by helping her, I was caught in the middle of it. The chase dragged on, each second feeling like an hour. Finally, I spotted this old, half-collapsed service station just off the road. I cut the lights and veered behind the building, heart pounding, engine off. "Stay down," I whispered, motioning for her to keep her head low. The SUV sped past, kicking up a cloud of dirt as it disappeared into the night. My hands were still gripping the wheel tight, knuckles white. I didn't even realize I'd been holding my breath until I let it out, slow and shaky. "We're safe. For now," I said, turning to her. She looked at me, still scared but thankful. "Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped." "Don't thank me yet," I muttered. "Whoever those guys are, they're not giving up. We need to figure out what comes next." She nodded. "You've already done so much. I'll tell you everything. But I need to know I can trust you." The words hung in the air like a weight. Whoever she was, whatever she knew, it had already flipped my night upside down, and I had the feeling it was just getting started. I leaned back, running a hand through my hair. "Trust me? Lady, I just risked my life and didn't even ask your name." She hesitated, looked away, then finally said, "Riley. Riley Hayes." Didn't ring a bell, but something about her face felt oddly familiar. "All right, Riley. I'm Nate. Now tell me, who the hell are those guys, and what did you get yourself into?" She stared out the windshield, scanning the dark woods. "They're with a group, one that's powerful. I used to work for them. I found out things I wasn't supposed to. Shady deals, fake charities, dirty money, the works." "Worse?" she whispered, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. Her voice dropped even lower. "They're trafficking people, Nate. Human lives. Innocent ones." That hit me like a gut punch. I stared at her, trying to process what she just said. "I found proof," she continued. "I tried to blow the whistle, but the people I turned to, they tipped them off instead. I barely made it out. My heart was thudding in my ears. This wasn't some small-time gang. This was way bigger, and now I was tangled up in it just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe the right place, depending on how you looked at it. "So what now?" I asked. You said you've got proof? Where is it? She hesitated, like she wasn't sure if she could trust me yet. Her eyes flicked away, full of nerves. It's not on me, she finally said. I stashed it. I was trying to get to it when they found me. If you can get to it, we've got something to fight back with, I said, already trying to figure out how we'd pull that off. This wasn't just about her anymore. If she was telling the truth, and I was starting to believe she was, then we were up against something massive. They operate like they're untouchable, she said, almost to herself. Like the law doesn't apply to them. I nodded slowly. All right, so where's the stash? It's in a storage unit, she said, voice quiet but firm. Downtown. But getting there won't be easy. They'll be watching. Then we don't let them see us, I said. We stay off their radar. Lay low, plan this out. She let out a long breath, finally looking a little less tense. Thanks, Nate. I mean it. I shook my head. Don't thank me yet. We're deep in this mess. And it's only getting deeper. The old gas station we ducked behind had a busted-up restroom in the back. While she cleaned up, I paced around the truck, trying to think. My pickup was anything but subtle, and the longer we sat in one spot, the higher the chances they'd circle back and spot us. When Riley came back, she looked a little better. Still shaken, but steadier. We can't stay here, she said. They'll double back. Agreed, I said. We'll take the back roads.
No jaiguas.
Keep off the radar. I started the truck, then looked over at her. How far does this go, Riley? Just how big is this group? Her expression darkened instantly. It's global, Nate. They've got people in the police, in government, even the media. If they want someone gone, they make it happen. I let out a low whistle. So we're not just dealing with thugs. We're up against a whole damn machine. Not a machine, she said, her tone sharp. People. People who think they're above consequences. But they're not invincible. If we can get the evidence to someone who can blow this open. And who exactly would that be? I asked, not trying to hide the skepticism. There's a journalist I know. Been digging into corruption for years. He's one of the good ones. If I can get to him, he'll get the story out. It wasn't much, but it was something. All right, I said. Let's move. We drove through the night, winding through back roads and country lanes. Every pair of headlights made my stomach drop. The silence in the cab was heavy. Just the hum of the engine, the occasional bump in the road, and the constant pressure of everything hanging in the air. I kept glancing over at her. Something didn't quite add up. You sure you're just some whistleblower? I asked finally, breaking the quiet. You don't look like someone who's been hiding out for weeks. She froze for a moment, then slowly turned to me. What are you saying? I'm saying you're a little too calm, too polished. Who are you, really? For a moment I thought she wasn't going to answer. Then she sighed and looked away. You're right, she said quietly. I haven't told you everything. I kept my eyes on the road, waiting. I used to be part of that world, she admitted. Not the trafficking, but the business side. My dad owns one of the biggest private equity firms in the country. That hit hard. Pieces started falling into place. Her face, the name, the way she carried herself. You're a billionaire's kid, I muttered, gripping the wheel tighter. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Used to be, she corrected me softly. I walked away from all that the moment I found out what was really going on behind the scenes.
I glanced over her, confused.
What do you mean? She looked straight ahead, her voice quiet but steady. My dad, Nate, he's part of it. One of the people they're protecting. That hit me like a punch to the chest. I stared out the windshield, trying to process what she just said. Riley wasn't just caught in the crossfire. She'd grown up in the very world she was trying to burn down. This wasn't just personal. It was blood deep. Wait. You're saying your own father is involved in all of this? I asked, not even trying to hide the disbelief in my voice. She gave a grim nod. One of the top dogs. He's got influence, power, and absolutely no conscience. When I confronted him, tried to get answers, he didn't just dismiss me. He turned on me. That's when I knew. If I stayed, I wouldn't survive. I gripped the steering wheel harder, feeling the tension climb all over again. And you think that journalist can bring a guy like that down? With money, connections, the whole 9 yards. Her eyes were locked on the road ahead. It's not just about having the proof, she said. It's about making sure the world sees it before they can bury it. If we shine a light on them, loud, public, undeniable, we might have a chance. Her voice had this kind of raw fire in it. She believed every word, and somehow I found myself starting to believe it too. But damn, the weight of it all was heavy. I wasn't just helping someone escape danger anymore. I was up against people who could snuff me out without blinking. Still, there was no going back. The second I hit those brakes to help her, my life stopped being normal. We rolled into the outskirts of a small town just as the horizon started to glow. The sun was coming up, but it didn't bring any comfort. We were both running on fumes, nerves frayed from the night behind us. As I pulled into an empty lot behind a dusty old diner, I asked, "Where's the locker?" "About an hour from here," Riley said, glancing around. "But we need to be smart. If they're tracking me, they'll be expecting us." "Then we change the game," I replied. "We need a disguise. Something simple, low-key." She caught a glimpse of herself in the side mirror. Makeup smudged, hair a mess, looking more like a runaway than someone who once walked red carpets. "Good call," she said. "But I'm not exactly working with a full wardrobe here." "Stay put," I said, hopping out of the truck. The diner wasn't open yet, but the thrift store next door had just opened for the day. I grabbed a hoodie, a baseball cap, a cheap pair of sunglasses, something plain. I picked up a few extra clothes for both of us, paid in cash, and headed back. When I got to the truck, she was slumped against the window, asleep. I tapped gently on the door and handed her the bundle. "Here. It's not high fashion, but it'll do the trick." She blinked awake and gave me a tired smile. "Thanks, Nate, for all of this." "Don't mention it," I said, though if I was being honest, part of me was wondering what the hell I'd gotten myself into. The hour-long drive to the storage unit was pure tension. Every passing car felt suspicious. Every turn felt like it could be the last. Riley stayed quiet the whole ride, eyes locked ahead like she was willing us to stay hidden. We finally pulled into the lot, run down, fenced in, forgotten. Just the kind of place you'd stash something you never wanted found. "This is it," she said softly. I parked in the far corner, tucked behind a row of dead hedges. We slipped out of the truck and made our way toward a line of identical metal doors. She stopped in front of one, pulled a small key from her pocket, and her hands trembled as she slid it into the lock. Inside, the place was bare, except for a single cardboard box sitting on a shelf. She grabbed it, turned to me, and said, "This is everything we need." I didn't even get to ask what was inside. A sudden screech of tires cut through the morning air outside, and my stomach dropped. We froze. "They're here," she whispered, her voice shaking. Without thinking, I slammed the door shut behind us and turned the lock. "We need a plan. Now," I said, every instinct screaming. Riley popped open the box, yanked out a small flash drive and a fat stack of documents. "This," she said, holding up the drive, "is the real weapon. The rest is backup. But this is what'll bring them down." Outside, the crunch of boots echoed on gravel. Heavy steps. Close. The handle jiggled. Someone tried the door. We were out of time. "Riley Hayes," a deep voice called from outside the door. "We know you're in there. Open up, and this ends easy." Her face went pale. "That voice. It's one of my father's enforcers." I didn't waste a second. In the corner of the unit, I spotted an old, rusted pipe. Maybe a busted shelf leg or a leftover from whoever had this place before. I grabbed it without hesitation. "Stay behind me," I told her, shifting my weight into a fighting stance. The door exploded inward with a violent crash, metal screeching as it slammed against the wall. Two guys stepped inside. Big, serious. Both looked like they were born to cause trouble, and probably had plenty of practice. "Hand it over," one of them barked, eyes locked on the flash drive in Riley's grip. "Not a chance," I snapped, planting myself squarely between her and them. The air in the storage unit went still, thick with tension. My heart was racing, but I wasn't backing down. This wasn't just about protecting her anymore. It was about standing up to people who thought they could do whatever they wanted and get away with it. Then the first guy lunged. He was fast, linebacker fast, and threw a punch like he meant to break bones. I ducked at the last second, the wind from his swing brushing past my ear. My heart thundered in my chest as I spun and cracked the pipe across his shoulder. He grunted in pain but stayed on his feet. The second guy held back, watching us like a hawk. Calm, controlled. Dangerous. You don't want this to get ugly, he said coolly. Just give us what we came for. Bit late for negotiations, I replied, glancing over my shoulder at Riley. Breaking and entering's already a bad look. The first guy recovered and came at me again. I braced myself this time and used his momentum against him, shoving him hard into a metal shelf. He hit with a loud crash, sending boxes and dust flying. Riley was clutching the drive like it was her lifeline, eyes flicking between me and the two men. Nate, we need to go. Now. Not yet, I growled, swinging the pipe again to keep the second guy back. But he was slick, dodging my strike with ease. Then suddenly we all froze. Footsteps outside. More of them. The sound was faint but getting closer, boots on gravel. Back up. Damn it, I muttered, realizing this wasn't going to end well if we stayed put. Take the drive and run, I yelled, tossing her the truck keys. I'll stall them. I'm not leaving you, she shouted, eyes wide with panic. Go, I barked. No time for arguing. Finally, she turned and bolted for the exit. The second guy lunged after her, but I swung the pipe full force, barely missing his head, making him retreat. I didn't wait. I sprinted after her. By the time I got outside, she was already in the driver's seat, the truck engine roaring. She hit the brakes long enough for me to dive into the passenger side, and we peeled out of the lot, tires shrieking. They're gonna chase us, she said, glancing nervously in the mirror. Let him try, I muttered, gripping the dashboard as she yanked the wheel and swerved onto the road. A black SUV came tearing out of the lot behind us just seconds later, headlights slicing through the morning fog like blades. You know these roads? I asked, eyeing the narrowing lanes ahead. Not really, she admitted. But I think there's a bridge up ahead. If we can make it across, we might be able to lose them. I scanned the rearview. The SUV was closing fast, engine growling like some wild animal out for blood. They're gaining. Punch it, I shouted. I'm trying, she snapped back, her hands gripping the wheel so tight her knuckles had turned white. Then we saw it just up ahead. A narrow, old wooden bridge that looked like it hadn't seen maintenance since the last century. It was risky, but we had no better options. Hold on, Riley shouted, gunning the engine. The truck roared onto the bridge, the planks groaning and creaking beneath the weight. The SUV didn't hesitate either. It followed right behind, headlights blazing like a threat. Halfway across, the entire structure trembled. The wood beneath us let out a sound that made my stomach drop, like a scream from the earth itself. For a split second, I thought the whole thing was about to collapse under the weight of two speeding vehicles. Just a little farther, I said, eyes locked on the end of the bridge. The second we hit solid ground, Riley jerked the wheel hard left, and the truck slid onto a narrow dirt path that twisted into a thick forest. I looked back. The black SUV had reached the edge of the bridge and was just sitting there, engine idling. The driver clearly wasn't too keen on following us across that rickety mess. We made it, Riley breathed, her voice shaky with adrenaline. Not yet, I warned, scanning the path ahead. We bought ourselves a few minutes. That's it. They'll find another route. She nodded, focusing on the winding path, and we drove on in silence. The forest closed in around us, and the rising sun cast long, uneasy shadows. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the thud of our hearts in our ears. After a while, Riley finally spoke. Nate, thank you. I mean it. I wouldn't have made it this far without you. I glanced her way. There was no doubt she meant it. Her eyes said everything. You don't owe me thanks, I replied. Just tell me we've actually got a shot at taking these bastards down. We do, she said, her voice clear and steady. What's on this drive? It's enough. Bank records, conversations, surveillance. Connects everyone. And who's gonna use it? I asked. I doubt your average reporter's ready to go toe-to-toe with your father's circle. There's a guy, she said. A journalist. He's been digging into my dad for years. If anyone's ready to drop a bomb like this, it's him. I nodded, though part of me still wasn't convinced. It all sounded a little too neat. But we were out of options, and hope, no matter how thin, was better than nothing. The city was waking up as we reached the outskirts. The light was full now, but it didn't bring much peace. We were exposed again. Every block, every stoplight felt like a risk. Where's his office? I asked. Midtown, she said, Small building keeps it low profile. Can't afford to draw attention. And he'll meet us? Pressed. If your father has people in the press too, he's got to be a target. He'll meet us, she said, no hesitation. This is everything he's been working for. All right, I said, taking a deep breath. Let's do this fast. We ditched the truck a few blocks from the address Riley gave me. It was safer that way, less obvious. The streets were busy, but that didn't mean we were safe. I scanned every face we passed, looking for someone who didn't belong. This way, Riley said, cutting into a narrow alley between two buildings. At the far end was a door. Plain, gray, uncaled. She knocked twice, then 3 times quick. A small slot slid open, and a pair of sharp eyes peeked out. Riley, it's me, she said, and I've got what you've been looking for. The door opened, and a wiry guy with a graying beard motioned us in fast. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Probably hadn't. Once we were inside and the locks were bolted behind us, he skipped the formalities. You have it? He asked. Riley handed over the flash drive. Everything's on there. Emails, transfers, video files, names, dates, everything. He looked at it like she just handed him a grenade with the pin pulled. If this is legit, this is going to change everything. It's legit, she said. But we're running out of time. They're after us. He nodded, already shifting into action mode. I've got people. Real ones. In the press, online, overseas. We'll drop it all at once. No time to cover it up. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. Good. But what about us? You know they're not just gonna forget we exist. Cole, the journalist, paused, then waved us toward the back. This way. He led us to a hidden room behind his office. It looked like it had been built for situations just like this. Stocked with food, water, backup power, the works. You can lay low here, he said. They'll be too busy with the fallout once the story breaks. The next few days passed in a blur. Cole worked nonstop, verifying, cross-checking, assembling the release. Riley and I barely left the back room. We stayed quiet, tense, waiting for a knock on the door that never came. But something started to shift. Hope. It crept in slowly, between the long silences and shared looks. For the first time since this all began, it felt like we weren't just running. We were fighting back, and we just might win. The night before everything went public, Riley and I sat side by side in that cramped little back room, finally catching our breath. For once, there was nothing to do but wait. You think this is really going to work? She asked, her voice soft. A mix of nerves and hope. It has to, I said. After everything we've been through, we can't let them walk away from this. She gave a small smile and let her hand brush against mine. Thanks, Nate, for all of it. I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for you. You're the one who stood up to your own family, I told her. I just did what anyone decent would do. The next morning, it hit like a bomb. Every major news outlet in the country ran the story. Headlines exploded with words like conspiracy, corruption, trafficking, cover-up. Riley's father, front and center, and the backlash, immediate. His empire started collapsing under the weight of it all. Lawsuits, investigations, people finally speaking out. But it wasn't all over. They pushed back hard, tried to smear the story, paint Riley as unstable, paint me as some criminal. The threats came in waves, but the story was out. The world couldn't unsee it now. Cole had planned for this. He got us out fast. New IDs, new location. Somewhere quiet, off the grid. It wasn't the kind of life I'd imagined living, but it was something rare. Safe. Ours. Months went by. Slowly, things began to shift. The people behind the operation were exposed. One by one, they were arrested. Riley's father stood trial, and the evidence we nearly died for held strong. People listened, and this time, they cared. As for us, we started over. From scratch. Small house, quiet place, no headlines, no chaos. Just peace. The kind of peace you don't take for granted once you've lived through hell together. One evening, we sat out on the porch as the sun dipped below the hills. Riley turned to me, eyes full of that same fire I saw the first night we met. Do you ever regret it? She asked, pulling over, letting me in. I looked at her and smiled. Not even for a second. You saved me just as much as I saved you. She laughed softly and leaned her head on my shoulder. We make a pretty good team, and she was right. For the first time in longer than I could remember, I felt calm. The road ahead? Still uncertain. But as long as we faced it side by side, I knew we could handle whatever came next. Together.